I'm ready whenever you are. We're good?
Yep.
Okay. Well, good evening, everybody. It really is great to see all of your smiling faces here. You always wonder how many folks are going to be able to get here in the midst of very busy lives, I'm sure. So I'd like to welcome you, and I'd like to welcome everybody tuning in on Facebook Live. I'd like to express special thanks to our governing board members for their support, including two of which are here this evening. Our President, John Sparks, also board member Denise Reese is here. I've talked to the other board members, and I'm guessing that they may be watching on Facebook Live as well. I know at least one other member is, so I thank Denise, John, and also Elaine Hall, Kevin Opalka, and Sherry Lowell. I also want to mention, for those that aren't in the room, that I'm pleased to share that we have all three of our middle school serving school principals here. So Stephanie Silman, Darlene Robinson, Shelley Lazardi are all here. We certainly appreciate that. So this is the first in our community conversations for the current school year. And again, these are events that we schedule to promote communication and also to get input and feedback from our community. So again, we're grateful. It's hard to believe we're already on the backside of completing week 7 of the 2019-2020 school year. And if you know me, you know I'll never miss I'll make a short opportunity to make just a few plugs. It's only 7 weeks, but we're already well on our way to a successful year. We've opened Wrightson Ridge in its full complement of grades K through 8. We're very excited about that. Mr. Monner's here in the front row, our assistant superintendent. He tells me that we've gotten our College Board advanced placement results back, and we've had more kids than ever take the College Board AP classes, and corresponding with the number of students who achieve they call them qualifying scores, passing scores. So we're very proud of that. We're involved in a research partnership with the University of Arizona, big National Science Foundation study on an important topic, bullying and maintaining healthy environments in our schools. So we value those partnerships. We're implementing a new social studies program adoption, which is well underway in its rollout and also in the professional development. NIMSI, National Math and Science Initiative, Year 6. I know I heard Mr. Bonner today meeting with those teachers, and we're very excited about that program. We're completing the last phase of the current bond program, and I can't thank our community enough for supporting those local measures. We have brand new instructional space that is modern and updated, and we've gotten rid of the last of those old portables. So we're very grateful to our community about that. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, how about that dance team from Walden Grove, 3.2 million views for 4 years in a row. They've gone viral with that and shines a positive light on fine arts, on education, and on our entire community. So our goal today is really simple. We're going to focus on this topic of 8th grade promotion. I know we can all probably think back. For some of us, it's a different, deeper, older thing than others. When we were in 8th grade, and kind of think back to what your experience was, but our goal is to kind of evaluate here in Sahuarita what it's been like, kind of what it is today, sharing some thoughts and considerations as we grow and need to kind of adapt. What are some of the issues? And also to explore some considerations for the future. I want to stress, we're not making any kind of a decision. We have a process that's been functional, that has been meaningful. It has, in its own right, some very positive purposes and outcomes, but we are facing some challenges as we grow, and with those growing pains, we need to work as a family to kind of decide what we want to do, if we want to do anything, and if so, how are we going to tackle some of the challenges that we face. So, there we go. In terms of the past, again, really what we're talking about is celebrating success. Welcome. What is an appropriate way to celebrate success for a student who has completed the 8th grade? We're all about celebrating success every opportunity that we get. If you come to our board meetings, if you go to our awards assemblies, PEP assemblies, they're all about celebrating success. But for this particular event, the question is right now, what's the best way to do that? You see some old pictures, and thanks to Amber Woods, our community outreach director, I think these are fresh from the annuals of yearbooks past, going back to, I think, the 1970s. So through that that work, I guess you'd call it research, we were able to figure that at least going back to the mid-1970s, which was the oldest yearbook that we were able to track down, there was some kind of a celebration for 8th grade. Of course, that was a different time, and there were many less students, and those are the kind of things that we just need to consider. So what's it like today? And I'm looking around the room, many of you I know have been there, you've seen it, and our principal leadership team in our schools, our student council, our students, our families, our PTOs, do a really magnificent job of planning and producing a very special event for students. As if you've been there, you know that it involves a pretty dressy event. If you came to the last one at SMS in particular, although Anzo wasn't far behind, the students barely fit on the stage, and that's a testament to the growth. And it's just a reality, but they look great, they get dressed up. It's very formal, it's in the auditorium, you see the flowers, the balloons, those Hawaiian leis, sometimes those leis with that are made with the little dollar bills, which I still don't know how they do that, but they're very creative. We've had speakers there, we've had professional athletes, we've had college coaches, special distinguished guests, government officials. So it's very, very formal. I believe that both schools historically have had some kind of a dance. I mean, it really does look a lot like a high school graduation, other than it's not on the field, there's no cap and gowns, it happens to be inside. So that's kind of where we're at right now. So just some food for thought, and this kind of prompted us to just evaluate, you know, when I came here in 2005, we had, I think, 2,900 students in the entire district. Now we almost have 6,500. So it's just, things change and you have to adapt to those changes. The latest change that kind of prompted us to think about this is the opening of Wrightson Ridge School. Okay, so we opened, and Wrightson Ridge opened with almost 700 students, right, Ms. Lizardi, right about 700 students. So there it is, a beautiful new campus that looking out over the beautiful Santa Rita mountain range, and we owe that to the local community for investing in that great resource. It's really helped to alleviate the crowding issues on the main campuses. We're grateful for that, and it gives us a little bit of opportunity over the next couple of years to accommodate the growth that we see all around us. But it's another school, and it just reminds us of the fact that we are growing, and that this ceremony is something that we need to consider in light of that growth. So some things just to think about. One is the schedule, and Amber pulled up the May calendar, which is directly from our website. That's the month of May. I kiddingly, but not really, say that our auditorium director, John Flannery, should just have like a cot in May and live here, because in the day and into the evening, he's here all the time. There's something scheduled there, whether it's a culminating end-of-year concert or a play or an awards assembly or senior night or promotion. So as we grow and we have more things, and without an additional space of this size, it just puts a crunch on being able to manage that. Again, it's just about adapting to change. So that's one thing that we need to consider. If you've been here on that day, it's usually around May 21st, 22nd. I guess it was the 21st on this particular day last May. You know what it looks like. It's not like that either. I wish we could have gotten a drone with like a picture of what it looked like on that particular day. Every space is full, and they've got every space that could remotely be a parking space, including sometimes the sidewalk, is a parking space. And we get it, and we try and be as accommodating, and we deploy people to help guide traffic. We worry a little bit about the safety issue. There's a lot of moving parts, classes. The thing is, we have so many schools in a very condensed space. So and there's end-of-year activities, end-of-year parties, end-of-year festivities. There's final exams. So there's a lot of movement going on, and limited space. So that's just something to consider. Seating capacity, we talked a little bit about growth. I'll just move through it quickly. There's the picture on the left. You see, I think that was probably from last year, and you see people standing. I think you might even, if you're looking carefully there, you see people kind of assembling in the aisles. And of course, you worry about safety, you worry about fire lanes that need to be preserved, and those kind of things. And I'll admit, last year was the most crowded because it was right before that SMS group broke into 2 middle school components, right? Finals week. This is something that we hear from our high schools, is how we hear about it, but it's, families are torn, right? Because you have the siblings that are coming here for this big, beautiful, wonderful special event, and they want the whole family to be there, which is understandable. They should be. At the same time, you've got final exam week at the high schools, and you've got high school kids being pulled out of high school to come over here, and then they have to make up their exams, and so it creates just those kind of conflicting schedule issues. Not to mention the fact that the 8th graders miss a couple days of school as a result of that. There's no worries; they're getting more than the state required minutes, but it is also a consideration. So again, it's a balancing act. I say value, and that what we're trying to do is make sure we're celebrating success in the appropriate way, and that's the question. What is the appropriate way to celebrate 8th grade? Not that what we've been doing is inappropriate, but as we've changed and grown, is that still the way that we want to proceed going into the future, right? You want it to be special. You want it to be memorable. You also want to think about the perspective of what it is. It's a completion of 8th grade, so it's special in its own right, but it is different than high school graduation, and you kind of want to preserve that distinction. And you also want to make it something that's logistically manageable. Like, you want people to have a nice experience. My heart went out to those people standing in the back over there. Sometimes they come from out of town, and you just want people to have a good experience. So it is kind of a balancing act of creating that experience that's appropriate and special, but also consider some of these other variables. So these are just possible alternatives. I will say that some of these are already in place right now. So they're already in place anyway, and our middle school principals will probably acknowledge that these things are already in place. They're already being done. Okay. One of them is you do a site-based assembly, or like they all do a great job at the quarter for honor rolls, for citizenship, for character, for attendance. They have periodic awards assemblies to recognize students for their outstanding achievements. Again, we're all about success. We want to celebrate success and encourage young people to continue setting higher and higher goals for their educational attainment. So one thing that could be done, that is an idea, is to make it in a setting where it's more of like that type of event, an awards assembly that's still special, but different from the ceremonies that we've done in the past. And again, I'm stressing, we're not making any decisions at this time. We want to share information, and then at the end, I'll tell you a little bit about how we want to hear from you and everybody else in the community. Some kind of end-of-year culminating activity. I know that our schools, all of them, not just the middle schools, do a great job of really celebrating the classroom as a community, the people, the students, the successes of the year. And the 8th graders, they do that in some of these ways as well. I know that they have a dance, an 8th grade dance at the end of the year, a barbecue, some kind of a field day, or organized field activities. These are all things that have been done in combination with what we've done with our ceremony, and could be done in addition to, or instead of, or in some other configuration. Again, just food for thought. So this is the survey, and after I'm done, I'll defer to Amber if you have any hard questions for her about the survey. It'll be on Facebook and also on the website. Again, I will bring it back to what's the most appropriate way to celebrate the completion of 8th grade. That's what we're talking about. What we've been doing has been good. It's been effective. Is it still the most effective way? And is it still the most efficient way operationally in terms of some of these other factors that we're facing? So there's really kind of the philosophical part about what's the appropriate way, and also in consideration of our growth and these other variables that I've presented. But really, in considering what to do, if anything, if we change anything, we want your input. Not only we want your input, we want to know what you think. We also are looking for your ideas. If in consideration of all these things, you have maybe a hybrid of what we've been doing or something else that we haven't particularly thought about yet, we welcome all of that. And what we'll do is we'll compile all of it. We will report it out either through another one of these community conversations and or through a study session prior to one of our regularly scheduled governing board meetings. So you'll find out kind of the results and kind of any determination. Certainly, again, I'm really open to considering all of this and evaluating all of the sources of data, the input of everybody, certainly the opinions of principal leadership and faculty and staff. And if we were going to do anything, it would be coming as a formal recommendation to our board. If we're not changing anything, then of course there's perhaps nothing to recommend, but we'll still report it out either way so that everybody knows what came out of this process. I also wanted to share that our goal is to have one of these community conversations every month. Of course, they will likely not all be about this topic, but there's many critical issues facing education, facing our district, that it's important that we communicate out with everybody and that we have a chance also to hear your thoughts and input as well. So that's the I guess you'd call it a website, Amber, where you can take the survey. I've seen the survey. It's like about 5 minutes. It's really short and easy. It won't take a ton of time. We hope we get a large sample size so that we can get as much feedback as possible. I believe it's going to be going live here. It just went out. And I think Amber's planning to have it out there for a couple of weeks so that people have plenty of time to provide this feedback. So with that, I know they've been passing out question cards, and I will not attempt to answer them all myself, although I'll do my best to answer the ones I can. In addition, please make sure that you submit your feedback to the website so that we can consider this input as we go forward. But if we have questions either on the cards or online, in combination with our group of principal leaders here and all of us assemble, I'm sure we can tackle them as best as we can. Just read it out loud. Thank you, Mr. Bonner. Mr. Bonner asked me to read it out loud, although one of the things I realized is that I forgot my reading glasses. Can the ceremonies move to evening so high school students and families that can't get time off work can attend? It's a good idea. You know, when I first came here, this event I said it's kind of like the high school ceremony. If you looked at the agendas, it was similar, except it's inside. When I came here, it used to be outside. And that was one of even back then, that was 2005, that was one of the critiques that I heard back then is, it's so much like a high school commencement. We actually were on the field, used the stage, and it was nice to bring it in, but you're right. From a space standpoint, that does provide more space. There's plenty of bleachers, and it does allow us to have a bigger capacity. It would again, with growth, it might provide some challenges and logistics because these events all kind of come to a head at the same date, time, place. So you've got high school graduation at that time and their practices. There's not as much leeway, but that is one possibility. And I'm going to keep this posted, and I would encourage that same kind of feedback. I don't know if any of the principals have any thoughts about that particular one. Those are just my first reactions, just hearing the question. Okay. Any other questions?
And keep in mind, I've never had anyone graduate from this district, so those questions seem off. It's because I don't have experience.
All questions are good questions, and sometimes the best solutions come when folks maybe don't have any experience or if they have kind of a fresh perspective on it. Okay. Can we schedule, it says Onsa Trail School 8th grade promotion and auditorium. Can we schedule the 8th grade Onsa Trail promotion on different days and times from the rest of the schools, or each school different days? if we continue the way we've been, that we'd have to do something like that, because I don't know if we can do 3 schools all in the same day. The challenge is that calendar that we have to work around, because literally every night there's something going on in there. I think if we're going to keep something like what we have, if that's what folks are feeling and the data suggests that, I think we're going to probably have to blend some of these ideas, either different days, or if it's the same day, maybe doing something like in the evening, like what was mentioned, maybe something where we, if we're able, we pursue the possibility of using the stadium because it does have the bigger capacity. In my own mind, I've kind of been brainstorming, again, as just one person's opinion, that, SMS this year, theoretically, for now, will have a little smaller group than they had last year, because 100 of them are over at Wrights and Ridge. Wrights and Ridge has a smaller number relatively, because they're just getting going. So since they're smaller, might we be able to accommodate the space? So these are all things that are just kind of going through my mind, and I'm confident that the inductive process of this feedback will take us to that space. But yes, I think we're going to have to probably change something as we grow, because the current model just is not going to be feasible for us. The other one is, if you do that, does it reduce the security issues and the overcrowd issue? Like I said, yes. I think if we can split it up, it does help, like this year, because if we have 3, and theoretically none of them, unless we have more growth than we anticipate, none of them will have a size, the magnitude of the SMS one last year, which was the biggest. I think they had close to 300 students. So yes, at least for now, it would alleviate some of those issues. Thank you. Got another one there, Mr. Bonner? Whoever wrote this, thank you for writing nice and big. I appreciate that. What do middle school principals want for this event? Wow, I'd hate to put them on the spot, but if any of you would like to kind of, even if you don't throw out a black and white answer, just thoughts about some of the issues that are on your mind, the things that maybe you worry about, that are important to you. Anybody care to? Yeah, and if they're going to do that, Amber, do you have thoughts about how to do that so that people listening online could hear? Should I have them come up? Do you have a portable? Sure.
Great question. I think we all think about what we did as a student, right? Like when you were back in school, middle school, what did that look like for you? I know for me, it was an 8th grade dance. And that was it. You went to the last day of school, which was, it was Friday for everyone in the district. It was Friday for you too. And you went to class, your report card said you promoted, and there was not a special certificate. I felt that the 8th grade dance was special, but also that was all that was ever done before me that I can remember, and it was done for me, and I thought it was awesome, right? So it was celebratory, I felt special, I knew that high school was my graduation. Now fast forward to modern day, Tucson, Arizona, Serena, Arizona, right, our surrounding community, and all of our Facebook or social media friends. What you see across the country is that there is a trend for more of what we presently have. Does it mean that it has to be or stay that way? Not necessarily, but it is the current trend of what we see, where there is a special promotion ceremony that is much more formal than I'm sure a lot of the people here experience as an 8th grader. Now take me back to Monster Trail and what we do there. We truly do roll out the red carpet for our 8th grade students, and it was a tradition that I inherited, and it's one that I hope I continue to do with fidelity until right now we're trying to decide what 1920 will look like and beyond. But what we do is Friday we have a big culminating 8th grade dance. It is very formal in nature, and it's driven by an 8th grade promotion committee that is comprised by parents and 8th grade students. and they pretty much come up with a theme and what it will look like and how we're going to celebrate kids on that day. Then Monday is a practice day. In addition to that, it's an 8th grade fun day. That fun day has evolved in my 8 years at Onset Trail. It used to be the bowling alley in Green Valley, and now we capitalize on everything being in our backyard, and we go to the Ratchet Puck House, and we have centers for the kids. Pool, of course, is always the option, and snacks, and all funded by 8th grade promotion monies that are raised through our Adam Dress Code days. Tuesday is our actual promotion ceremony, and in my 8 years being there, it's gone from historically 8:30. I think a year ago we tried out the evening performance, and that brought about, we thought by doing it in the evening it would solve a lot of logistical issues, and what we found with most things, sometimes you get to create new ones that you didn't foresee. So we turn it back to the day. So if I'm asked with what would I like it to be, that's really why I'm here, because this is a community decision. I'm going to support what the majority of our community feels is appropriate for our students and for our Onset Trail community. So I will 100% support whatever we decide as a community. I'm thinking if I was asked, like right now, Mrs. Robinson, what should it look like if it should stay the same? Well, we know that right now, Tuesday, 8:30, Onset Trail goes, 10 o'clock, 11:30, Cerrito Middle School goes. I don't know where Right Fit would fit into that unless we would go into like a 3:30, like an early afternoon. So my proposal would be if we would have to keep the integrity of what we have now, not saying it's good or better or less than or more than, then we would have to have Tuesday have the 8:30, the 11:30, and then a 3:30, and for equity rotate it every year so everyone gets that 3:30 performance. Anything later than that, you do create a lot of logistical concerns because all of a sudden, yes, you do get more family that shows up, and we just don't have space for everybody. And I always have to look at Walden Grove as my feeder high school, and that's usually the same families. It can't be Monday night because Monday night is senior night, right? So I'm already separating families. And if I would have to house it at Onset Trail, as much as everyone loves our traffic and limited parking spaces, parking would be a challenge. And for me, it would be also seating. So unless we would have access to a minimum of 500 chairs, and that would be the 8th grade promoting student and 500 chairs for 2 representatives per family. You're probably thinking, well, that would be great for the field, and it could be bring your own chair to the field, but I would still need a minimum of 250 chairs for your students unless they too brought their own chair. As far as the gym, my gym can house all 700 middle schoolers, but take up 8 additional rows off the bleacher. So then where would the family sit? So let's say on average someone brings 4 people to the promotion ceremony. We're already at 900 people in that space, and that wouldn't be a safe place for all of us to be. So this is something that keeps me up at night, and I'm sure it does you. We definitely want to celebrate students. Celebrations can take on different looks, and if I would say when you fill out that survey is what are all the different acceptable things that you feel still honors such a huge milestone, but we can balance between the 3 sides. So that's my 2 cents.
Anybody else care to tackle it? Maybe Mrs. Silman?
Thank you, Mrs. Robinson, Dr. Monticello. I concur a lot of the sentiments of Ms. Robinson. It's a really nice celebration. It's a great way to honor our 8th graders, and we did have close to 300 last year, which was enormous. And this year we're really grateful to have closer to 200. It does make sitting on the stage a little bit easier in the auditorium, but I also struggle with fitting it in my gym, especially with the guest attendance, which tends to be very high. So I'm open to other ideas and other suggestions. I think that with Rights and Bridge coming on board, we want to honor them as well and not make them feel like they're squeezing into our schedule, because it's very much the community schedule and the district schedule. So if Ms. Liz already has any thoughts.
Well, I'm sitting listening, obviously decided to find out what the community thinks, and Logistically, I'm thinking about if we had it in our gymnasium. Yes, we only have about 100 eighth graders, a little less, 95-ish. And then you add parents to that, and then you also add siblings or other people, depending on the time of day. We have a logistical issue as well, because our gym only holds in the bleachers 200 max. So then, of course, you've got to figure out what would you do for chairs, and if you're having chairs at all the other sides, do we have enough chairs in the district to do that, or do people bring their own chairs? And so I'm thinking, yeah, how do we house that in our own space? Right now, there's not a ton going on, so we can have parking probably go out onto the road. Obviously, the hospital's being built, so that will soon create an issue for parking. So at first glance, it looks like we have a ton of parking, but with events that we've already been hosting, we're seeing a lot of parking issues. They fill up quickly. So logistically, I'm a little worried about hosting at Wrightson for some of the same reasons that Mrs. Robinson talked about. I'm pretty open though to figuring out, I don't feel like we're going to feel squeezed in. I think that's kind of where we're at as a district. We have to balance the times. I go back and reflect on my experience when I was an 8th grader, and it was truly a dance and a certificate. I don't think my parents even came. I'm trying to think. I think they were just in the gym, and it's like, all right, there you go. So I go back and forth with that because I feel like our end result, that's a big to-do, is that high school graduation, right? 8th grade's kind of one of those things like, yeah, all right, but you're still going, right? We're not ending. So, like I said, I want to honor the opinions, but personally, I kind of go back and forth with that. So yeah, thank you.
So I have another question, and I will take the next one. It said most kids, and this one came from online, I believe. Most kids graduating have gone to school together. Can we combine the new school and SMS? So Wrightson and SMS, so they can celebrate together. That's a good question. One of the things we pride ourselves on here is the spirit of community that I think is pretty special. And so I really appreciate the thought process of that. I think, like a lot of questions of this order, the answer is probably, it depends. It depends on what we decide to do. For example, if we're going to be in a space like a stadium where there's more capacity, that might be a consideration. My first reaction is, if it's going in the auditorium, we've come to the point where physically and from a safety standpoint, I'm thinking it's probably not feasible under the roof of the auditorium, just based on logistics and space. What about the football fields? They are set up for the high schools already. That definitely is a possibility. And that one, my thoughts are no better or worse, hopefully, than anybody else's. But that's kind of something that I've processed, is that if we're going to continue along the lines of what we've done, there aren't too many other places that have that kind of capacity other than the outdoor stadium. Absolutely right. And so if we decide to go that way, I think that's certainly a variable that we need to consider, because we probably don't have a lot of other options if we decide to go there. What else? No other questions at this time? Well, oh, we do have another one. Thank you, Mr. Bonner. This one says, if SUSD moves to a site-based celebration, how will the district accommodate parking at schools? It says comment, not question. Great idea to have monthly community conversations. Oh, thank you. Thank you for that encouraging feedback. So if we move to, how will we accommodate parking? Probably in the same spirit as we accommodate it now, which is leveraging adjacent spaces. One of the blessings we have here is that the main campus does afford multiple schools, multiple spaces where you can park. So we've run shuttle services, our staff drives people around, and we may have to resort to those kind of situations, even if we do it at the sites, just because we are grown. So that is a definite possibility. Anything else? Well, I am a teacher, so I always have to close the lesson with closure, which basically summarizes what we've done and what I've heard. And really, if you hear nothing else from today, is that we only want to do one thing, which is honor our students in the best, most appropriate way possible in celebrating the completion of their 8th grade year and in motivating and encouraging them to excitedly look forward to the next chapter of their educational career. And so that's our goal. We're not looking to do anything to diminish that in any way, shape, or form. We're really looking at an opportunity to kind of just put the refresh button, and by that I mean look at where we've been and what we've done, what sounds like for decades, and just ask ourselves, is that still what we desire to do? And is that still what we can do? And if it is, how are we going to adapt to the growth situation so that we can do it safely and in a way that still creates a good experience? And if we want to do something different, I want to make sure that it's an updated decision, that it involves all of us, and that it represents what we want for our 8th graders as how we want to celebrate this particular milestone in their educational career. So with that, I would encourage everybody to tell their friends. Again, all of us can do more than one of us or a few of us. We want everybody's input to kind of create that large sample size, to get a big flow of ideas, to kind of look for inductively for themes that seem to come up, so that in the end, whatever we do will be reflective of who we are and what we desire to do going forward. So with that, the survey is live. It'll be live for 2 weeks. And I'd like to thank everybody, both those present here and those listening online, for joining us. And we'll look forward to talking with you again at our next community conversation next month.